Hey, all you fish heads out there. My name is Smokin' Joe, and I have some questions. Do you have fish?
Yeah.
Do you love your fish?
Yeah.
Do you love your fish enough to buy them their own song?
Oh, yeah.
Who needs another castle for the tank when you can have a custom tune made for your favorite finned friend? It's easy. You tell me about your fish.
I have the best fish.
You pick a genre of music.
Any genre.
I make you a song. From metal to Irish folk. From EDM to funk to punk. I'd love to make a song for you. Visit www.smokinjoeonline.com to fill out your inquiry today. That's www.smokinjoeonline.com today.
Hey, shrimp fanatics. I'm going to talk about the shrimp of the week from joesshrimpshack.com. So this week, if you go to their website, right now they have orange eye royal blue tiger shrimp. Certainly check these out. From the picture, they are a very deep, dark blue with bright, alien eyes. You need to check these shrimp out. They start at $16 a piece, and trust me, not large quantities are left. Go check them out, and check out all the other great shrimp at joesshrimpshack.com. And don't forget to use our promo code AquariumGuys at checkout for 15% off everything in the store. It's the best discount you're going to get. joesshrimpshack.com. Check out the sweet shrimp. Also, guys, don't forget about our story time special that we're going to be doing. We need your submitted stories. We're going to review them. Certainly submit them to aquariumguyspodcast.com. At the bottom of the website, you'll find our contact information, email, telephone number, however you want to contact us. Send a YouTube video of you talking about it. Anything, we'll review them, and we're going to display your stories in the next story time. Let's kick that podcast.
Welcome to the Aquarium Guys podcast with your hosts, Jim Colby and Rob Zolson.
Jimmy, did you fart? I'm just wondering, because when you sat down, there was all kinds of angelic whistles coming from your side of the podcast studio.
I have a cold that's coming out my nose.
You have a cold that's coming out your nose?
Yeah.
And a case full of COVID tests?
Yes.
All right, so what you're saying is drink up some tequila.
Oh, absolutely. Tequila will kill the COVID. It will.
Tequila kills anything.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Actually, my company that I work for, we sell Taki chips, and somebody started a rumor that it cured COVID, and we cannot keep them in stock. They actually had to quit. They had to quit making several of the varieties of the flavors because they cannot keep up. They're only making like 3 of the regular flavors right now.
I feel like you're trolling me.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that.
Who the hell came up with that idea?
I don't know. It's
Jim?
something got started online, and the Taki chips now we can't keep them in stock. I'm selling 400, 500 little bags at the checkout lanes at Walmart.
Well, it's the same people that did these Wall Street bets for the GameStop stocks.
Oh, absolutely,
Dude. I've made so much money.
I'm in AMC and I'm up today, so it's a good day. Well,
I'm up on physical silver.
Regardless,
I'm up on cold medicine.
I'm Rob Zolson.
Hey, I'm Jim Colby.
And I'm Adam on the Shar.
So today we have special guest Nick Neo here in the studio with us. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, it's our pleasure. Nick is the owner of shrimpybusiness.com. Certainly check that out, bookmark it. But can't thank you enough for coming on. And we're going to pick your brain today on, your experience of how you started a business online, got deep into this market, and are, finding success in COVID. I think that's a crazy story, and we need to know your secret sauce.
Sure, yeah, I would love to share it.
Wonderful. Well, what we're going to do first is, like we do on every podcast, we're going to go through a couple questions that we get throughout the week. If you guys got a question, submit it at aquariumguyspodcast.com. Bottom of the website, you'll find our email address, telephone number to leave us a voicemail or send a text message, or even message us on Facebook. Jimmy still has lost the Twitter account.
I know where the Twitter account is. It's right there in my smartphone.
It's in your fart phone?
My fart phone.
Your fart phone. All right, so some of the first questions we got One of them says, was wondering if I could get your opinion on something. I'd love to construct a 3D background. Was wondering if you could skim the article and tell me if it'd be safe for aquarium fish and plants. From what I read, it sounds okay, but I'd love to get an expert's opinion. Thank you guys. You rock. And it gives me an article for how to make an aquarium background. Before I get into this article that he sent me.
Do you know an expert?
No,
you don't.
I don't. I feel like you do.
No, I don't.
You don't know an expert either?
No, not on 3D backgrounds.
Well, it's not necessarily an expert, but I've made an attempt, and my attempts have not been great. Even when I purchased pre-made aquarium backgrounds, I am not a personal fan of them, just because it's another place for algae and shit to collect. So if I'm going to have something in there, it's going to be a natural decoration, or if I'm going to make a natural background, it's going to be something that I'm going to be able to scrub easily. Maybe I'll use river rock, I'll do other elements. Aquarium backgrounds, especially DIY ones, are a pain in the ass.
Have you had any experience with that, Nick? 3D backgrounds?
No, not really. I think my experience is mostly planet tanks. Like now I'm playing around with a lot of the nano tanks because shrimp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but my experience mostly, I mean, I play around with angelfish, discus, goldfish, but they nothing with a 3D background, unfortunately.
Adam, you might remember this. About 15 years ago or so, 20 years ago, some company came out with it was kind of a foam-like material that you adhered to the back of your tank inside. Do you remember those?
Is it the ones for reptile or
they made them for
the
both?
fish ones?
They made them for both. It was reptiles and fish. And I know our friend Ty Talford had a few of those, and not much great success because things, like Rob said, got behind the darn thing, and fish got trapped back there, algae, air pockets, all kinds of crazy stuff. So I've never really had any good, what little bit of experience I've had, it's not been good.
Well, the problem is what they make it out of. Generally, these DIY ones are done with like styrofoam sheets that they go buy. Number one, some of the old green sheets that they buy are kind of shitty and will decay crap in the water. So make sure that it's just pure styrofoam and not some like a Ben Franklin. We have a Ben Franklin craft store. We used to have a big chain. Not some like shitty Michael's craft store foam.
You're talking styrofoam. You're talking just like foam.
Like literally like a foam cooler foam. Styrofoam, white styrofoam.
Well, that floats, so I don't know how the heck you're going to get that.
Exactly. Like, how the hell do they get this stuff in there?
The ones that were made that I saw were made out of actual, like a foam, like you would make a sponge filter out of. And they had taken it and sculpted it to look like, a background of mountains and stuff. It was pretty cool, but it just didn't hold up.
So it's not rigid.
No, and then things will pick at it and it just dissolves. It's bad for your tank.
It's not rigid enough. And when you go to clean it, it falls apart. And then they use this stuff generally called dry lock. Dry lock is what you use for your basement to seal like a brick basement up so you don't get moisture into it. And some of it is supposedly, and I'm going this, supposedly aquarium safe, but most of it's kind of crap. Even when you put paint material in your tank, you'll still get chipping and crap happening in your tank. It's just not a fun thing to go around. So if you're going to do a background and they want to do a 3D background, find a way that people have been doing. This cool trend I'm seeing from like Germany is like growing mats. People have been putting essentially it's just more places to grow plants. And I think that's such a fun and interesting idea rather than just having a plastic styrofoam shitty 3D background.
Yeah. What question you got next?
Well, also I feel like that's a whole podcast waiting to happen.
Yeah, not tonight.
Next one. Hey guys, I own a fish shop down in southern Texas and been listening to the podcast for a while. I remember you guys talking about a specific wholesaler that only goldfish here in the goldfish that have here in the States. Can you please tell me who it was that you recommend for goldfish? Thanks. Keep up the podcasts.
I'm familiar with a couple of goldfish people that I've used in the past. Ozark Goldfish.
That's my favorite.
And there used to be,
Hi, Becca.
Yeah. And then there used to be another one called... what the heck was it? Blue Ridge Mountain or Blue Ridge Goldfish. And I'm not sure if they're still around or not, but if you give Becca a call over at the goldfish shop there at Ozark Goldfish, they've got a nice variety of fantails, comets, shabunkins, koi. The one thing they don't have is black moors. And as we've talked about before, black moors are genetically the weakest, and so they just don't work with them right now.
They come and go. They'll get a batch in. They'll farm them up. But just keeping the strains consistent, and there's just so much work. And they're pond raisers, so you're getting it from their covered, sanitized ponds that no one's allowed any access to. Like, they don't even do tours at Ozark anymore. They stopped that before COVID. And
yeah, and they've got 2 farms and stuff, and so they will ship you from the farm closest to where you're located. I see Rob pulled up Blue Ridge Goldfish.
it looks like they're still open.
They still open. I know that for a while they were closed because they, if I remember right, they imported some fish for breeding, quarantined them, and somehow it got all their fish sick, and I think they closed down for a year or 2. But they are wonderful folks too.
Goldfish shops, more than anything else, have to be very rigid on their policies on who interacts with it, what goes in the waters, because carp herpes wipes out entire farms.
Yes, and that can just ruin your life for a few years.
And there's kind of nothing to do to treat it. If it has it, it's gone.
Yeah. So Ozark Goldfish or Blue Ridge Fish Hatchery, I would suggest either one. I've dealt with them both. They are both wonderful people.
Nick, you got some goldfish buddies out there?
No, I don't have any goldfish buddies right now because goldfish eat. I mean, they eat our shrimp as a nice tasty snack, unfortunately.
Kind of like a new age sardine thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, if they put them in shot glasses down here, minnows, then why not goldfish?
That's
Just
right.
saying.
Eat them up.
So other than that, guys, go on our Facebook page. We have the Aquarium Guys community. We're trying to buff that up. It's actually pretty darn decent showing of people. And the memes have been great. People have been sharing a lot of their first spawns. And it's just a fun place. You know, show us what you got. Well, if you got something more noteworthy and newsworthy, we'll highlight it on here. And just because of that, the Tropical Fish Swap of Michigan, March 7th, is going to be having a fish swap.
Finally, everybody's
Right.
going to get together and talk fish. How fun is that going to be?
They're going to share snot rags and lick doorknobs. No, I'm just kidding.
No, they're not.
I
The
hear
Michigan governor will shut that down like she didn't want anybody to garden outside because that'd get COVID.
Nah,
No,
they're
she won't.
going to be safe. They're going to only keep 6
Sure.
fish per bucket. And
That's just like our governor said that we aren't allowed out of the house, and he's not taking care of it. He's not taking his king dictatorship powers until the Vikings win a Super Bowl.
hey, that means we're stuck here forever.
We're all going to be dead by then.
We're all
Pretty
gonna
much.
be dead. As the guy is sitting here with the Seahawks,
Exactly.
just knowing that what that victory tastes like.
When we say
No
go,
comment. I don't rub it in.
when we say go Vikings, we mean like go away.
Oh,
Go
is that
Vikings.
what it is? All right.
No, I don't know why we didn't trade Stafford for Cousins.
Hey, I would have loved that. That would have been a good day.
I think we could trade Cousins for a bag of Skittles and been better off.
That'd have been a good day. So, I've been having a fun week, Jimmy. Just to give a couple updates. Number one, there's a meme going around on our aquarium swap sites that I look like this particularly ginger-looking gentleman, and hopefully the audio doesn't crackle too bad on this. But let's see if I can play it.
No, at first I didn't really like you. And now I still don't.
So yeah, that
People think you look like him.
I think people think I look like him.
Actually, he's a lot better.
if you want to
looking.
see it, you can go on our Facebook page. And
He's a lot better looking than you.
I'm just saying, thank you for the compliment. That was lovely. So, how's your week been, Jimmy?
My week's been okay. You know, been working down on my fish room. We are insulating the ceiling of our fish room, and you think it's going to be a 3-day process, and now it's been about a 3-month process, and I'm still not done. But I bought a nail gun this weekend, and you know what you could do if you have a nail gun? You could take your wife's pant leg and you could nail it to the board when she ain't looking. It's pretty funny.
I feel like that's an entire thing where
Yeah,
you have that lump on your head for.
that's right. That's right.
At least you didn't shoot yourself in the foot,
No, not yet.
literally and metaphorically.
Yeah, no, we're just gonna. We just bought the nail gun the other day, and I was practicing last night and stuff, and she wasn't paying attention, so I showed her what it would do. It was kind of fun for me.
Wonderful. So this week I greatly overpaid for rice fish from you, Jimmy, and I'm so excited.
You're a dumbass. What did I tell you 100 times? Let me backpedal on this story. So I bought some rice fish from our friends over at Seeger's Farms, and they're called white platinum rice fish. And I called up Rob and said, "Hey, do you want any of these?" And he goes, "Nope, I'm broke." I said, "Okay."
And then suddenly I fell into money.
Yeah, and so then I get them, and he goes, "Well, I want them." I said, "They're not for sale. I'll get you some in a couple of weeks." And he kept throwing money at me, and finally I took his damn money.
I'm just saying, we did a pet swap. He had these beautiful platinum rice fish, and I had a very lonely Benjamin in my wallet that needed to find friends.
That's right.
So we made it happen, and now I'm the proud owner of rice fish. So
Yes, and then I got you some other rice fish on Saturday night.
got some daisy rice fish, peacock gudgeons.
I got Adam some Endlers, which is
Yes.
like, I feel like I almost am getting him hooked up to more crack.
I feel like I need more crack, Jimmy. So.
Yeah. So we found a local gentleman in our neighborhood who's raising all kinds of crazy stuff, and he's got the most beautiful guppies, and he's raising peacock gudgeons, Mexican dwarf crayfish, all kinds of crazy stuff, and the growth he gets on these things is just incredible. He's feeding 4 times.
Miracle Grow.
Yeah, feeding 4 times a day, and he's getting guppies into adulthood in 6 weeks.
Miracle Whip.
Yes, not Miracle Whip.
You're just saying yes. I'm asking.
No, he's not using Miracle Whip. I'm on cold medicine, man.
Well, let's get down to this podcast. Nick, again, thank you for coming. We always start the podcast out asking, some of the more introductory questions. And, number one, what got you into this hobby and when did you start?
Well, fish in general. I mean, I started keeping fish, like, I guess that was in elementary school. I mean, my first go at fish was keeping betas. I grew up in Singapore, so I mean, it's really a tropical fish haven there. So they have, we have a lot to choose from, and I started breeding betas in my backyard. So that's kind of how I started with the fish, and then went on to angelfish and goldfish for a little bit. But shrimp in general, I only started with shrimp, I would say about 3-4 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago actually, with shrimp. Just because I had my brother-in-law started keeping shrimp, and I didn't quite get it in the beginning. It was when I was back in Singapore. But I decided to give it a shot just because I wanted a small tank with some cool little creatures in it, and shrimp kind of fit the bill. And I kind of just went from 1 tank, 2 tanks, and now I have 100 plus tanks. So it kind of overtook my life, kind of.
And so, where do you have all these tanks located at? Do you have a warehouse? Are you working out of your home?
I'm working out of my home. So we have I thought of getting a warehouse, but just running the numbers and the risks. I think I enjoy what I'm doing now, and I think if I did do it on a larger scale, I might not enjoy it anymore. So I decided to keep it small and just running from my home.
So how long ago did you, again, start doing shrimp specifically?
About 4 years ago.
4 years ago? And you're already this far up?
Well, it kind of snowballed a little bit.
A little bit? He's one of those things where
bit.
he's got that cheesy smile going, yeah, my wife hates me right now.
No, for real. My wife, I was like, hey, babe, can I get this shrimp tank? I already had like 2. I was back then when I was still living in, I was still renting an apartment. So I had 2 tanks, and I was like, hey, babe, can I get this little shrimp tank to play with? And we got it, and then I couldn't. It took me a while to figure it out, and then once I figured it out, I was like, oh, can I get another one? Can I get another one? Can I get another one? And then we converted our garage into a little shrimp room, and then so she wasn't. It took time to convince her that this was a good idea.
So
sure.
Is she on board now?
She is, yeah.
She's on board.
She's super supportive, yeah.
I have found that it is always best to ask for forgiveness,
Yeah.
then permission. That's how I end up with lots of my things.
That's a good approach. I think my approach was like, hey, this is paying the bills, and this is fun. So she kind of I kind of took that approach.
So you threw some money at her.
Basically.
Yeah, that's the best way.
Yeah.
And so, do you have like a fish room, or do you have fish rooms where there's like 20 tanks in this room?
Yeah, I have a shrimp room. Currently I have a little section for my gym, but basically it's a shrimp room. So I have 120 tanks, 130 tanks right now.
That's a good
Yeah.
start. What size tanks do you run?
I like running 20 gallons for my neo Caradinas, and then my Caradinas, I have them in 10 gallon. And then for the more expensive stuff that I have my own, kind of just my play shrimp, I have them in like 2.5, 5 gallons for the more exotic ones.
I'm just amazed. I'm going through some of your list, and again, we have to go through the steps of how you got this far. But
Sure.
I'm just nerding out. You said before that you have Sulawesi shrimp. Am I saying that correctly? Because I never pronounce anything correctly. Jimmy dooms me.
I'm glad you said it.
No. It's a Sulawesi.
See, guaranteed wrong,
Yeah.
certifiably wrong. How do you ship the Sulawesi shrimp?
Well, actually, the shipping process is the same as any shrimp. The only thing that we consider is for the Sulawesi is the temperature. They can't deal with cold. In the summer, we ship them to like places like the warmer places like Florida and Texas. We ship them with 2-day FedEx, and they do okay. But in the winter, I tried shipping them before, and they just and you need to overnight them. There's no question. So we pack them in breather bags. And for the winter, we add in the heat pack. But this season, I decided to stop shipping. January, February, just because it's pretty cold in most of the country, and I don't wanna risk losing them. But when it gets warmer, we'll ship them.
And so what's
in
the
the
average cost of a package of shrimp going out on? You said FedEx.
FedEx, yeah, like overnight,
Yeah.
like the shipping cost.
Yes.
The shipping cost, we have a flat rate for overnight is $45.
Well, that's not
overnight.
bad at all.
No.
Yeah, and then for priority, we have them at $15. $15 flat rate,
And
and then
how many shrimp can you pop in a box?
in a box.
Because I'm one of those guys that if I'm going to buy a box of shrimp, I want it plumb freaking full because I'm paying for the shipping.
Yeah.
So
Right, but you get so we get free shipping, free priority shipping at over $100.
okay.
Yeah. So, but if you choose the overnight option, you take $15 off. If you're buying a bunch, and the shipping cost stays the same, and we still offer free shipping as well.
Wonderful. What I want to dive into now that we got a little taste of your business, some of the stuff that you have, some of the promos, is how you got there, right? So you said a little over 4 years ago you started shrimp. Walk us through. You got introduced to shrimp, your first shrimp tanks. You had some success. Walk us gradually through how you got this far, because established business, a name in the market, and clearly you go through some volume.
Yeah, we've been fortunate. We've been very blessed. But I guess just to kind of go back in time, my background, I've always been interested in selling stuff online. I've always been interested in e-commerce before Amazon came along. So I guess when I was a kid, I started selling betas. Actually, no, I was in college. I started selling betas online on like Aquabit and stuff, and that paid for a little bit for college. So I was always very intrigued in selling the e-commerce space, and how I can do something I enjoy and also provide value at the same time living. Right, that's a perfect balance.
Well, then let's talk about how you started there with betas, because you said that you grew betas in your backyard. I want to hear about it.
Sure. Yeah. So when I was a kid, I bred my first batch of betas in my backyard. So this is elementary school, and then back then, Google wasn't that great, so I had this lot of try and error. So I bought my first pair from the aquarium shop right by my school. I took the bus to school every day, and I literally visit the aquarium shop literally twice a day. Literally twice a day, each time I go to school. And I bought my first pair of betas from them, and then I started to figure out how to breed them, and then I bred my first batch. So I had little cups that my mom would use, deli cups, those used cups. I kind of wash them out and use them for the fry and the grow out. And then I had a little tote in the backyard.
Deli cups? Did I get that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, like little deli cups to separate out the fry when they get around 2 months old.
So when you say deli cups, what are those like? Are those kind of like small Dixie cups? Are they?
Oh no, they're like, I would say in comparison, it'd be like quart.
Okay.
Like quart. Yeah. So I had a bunch of those for the grow out. well, not grow out, when I separate them out, because the males do kind of go at each other after 2 months. That's kind of when I figured that was a good time to take them out. So I had a Daphnia pond to grow Daphnia, and then I had a little grow out pond in the backyard for the grow out. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started growing the betas out of my backyard. And then I had hundreds of them. I didn't know what to do with them, so I went to my pet store, and I say, hey, how much do you want to? I had a few of these betas. What do you want for them? And as a kid, it was like, I'll take $1 each. I'm like, $1 each? Hell yeah! So I sold my first batch to them. I forgot how much I made, but at that time it was it was a big deal. So I just kept doing it. Yeah, I just kept doing it, and then when we moved here I stopped betas for a while. So my family moved here to the States. I kind of got bitten by the bug again, but this time it was different because I was in the States and trying to figure out how to import them in and and understand the market here, understand how to ship them in boxes. That was definitely a learning experience. So this was in college when I was bored.
Well, let's talk about that learning experience, because I find like people say, "Oh, it was a learning experience," and then they skip it. That's like the meat of the subject right there.
That's how I lost $18,000.
Don't tell us the mistakes. Tell us their successes. A little bit on that one.
Okay. Yeah. So when I was in college, I had I wanted to keep betas again, so I kind of had to start buying my first breeder pair, right? So how do I go about finding these fish? I went online and try to figure out, okay, how do I get them in legally? So I found Aquabit. I found a supplier, and I started buying them for fun. So I brought in a pair. It was really expensive. I forgot how much it was, but the shipping cost was pretty expensive. So I brought them in, and it all came okay. So it was a pretty good first experience. Then a pair became 2 pairs, and 2 pairs became 3 pairs, and sooner or later it became like my childhood again. So I converted my parents' 2-car garage into like a beta breeding barracks, and then trying to ship them in boxes. Back then there wasn't YouTube. It wasn't that there wasn't much info. So I went to my local beta club and learned from some of the folks there how to pack them, because betas you can't put them in breather bags. You needed like a little airspace. So yeah, we did that to try to figure out how to ship them. I mean, I remember this experience where I tried to bring in an import of 10 pairs of good quality betas, and they came in and they all, they didn't come in good shape, and we lost. I think I lost half of that import. I guess from there it's definitely not a perfect business.
Well, that's just the shipping in. Shipping out is crazy. Like,
shipping out. Yeah,
and trying to explain it to some people, because it changes. You need to know the demographic of the spot you're going to send it to. It's going to be a completely right now. If you send it to us, like Jimmy said, it's going to be 20 below in a couple days. So by the time it gets here, literally hell froze over.
Yeah.
So that's one.
Yeah.
And then you need to know the types of shippers. Like FedEx is different than UPS. UPS is different than the Postal Service. And it becomes hell in a handbasket. And even like to make you feel better, right? Jimmy and I have certainly been through our line of mistakes. We pick on each other for them continually. But I think one of the best ones I pick on is the fact a gentleman sent me, and we talked about it on quite a few podcast episodes back. I was rather pissed off because he wouldn't message me back. Not that it happened, mistakes happen, and people learn from them. But he decided that he was going to get out of his hobby. He wanted someone to keep his fish. No one would take them. And I'll take them. I have plenty of tanks. There's places for them to go. They'll live happy lives. I'll even help pay the shipping. I don't need the fish, but I'll certainly take them, because I do rescue work for like Ohio Fish Rescue, anything that we can do. So he got a big box. I said, you're going to need a cooler, right? It's fall. They're going to get a little chilled. So you're going to need a cooler. Number one, you're going to need, and it's going to have to be at least a couple inches thick. I gave him the instructions. Well, he sent them in, and he was sending angelfish, shell dwellers, Moscow guppies, and it was all in one box, a very big box. Mm-hmm. He didn't do a cooler. He cut pieces of foam strategically to fit on the sides. It wasn't sealed. It was loose. When he put the fish in, he didn't pack them tight. The bags sloshed around and knocking them out before they froze to death because the heat packs he put on the bottom of the box. So the moment that it dripped out, it killed the heat packs. So it's like everything you could do wrong, this guy did wrong. I'm just want to let him know the status of his fish and everything, but he just flat out wouldn't message me. So I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
what it was. It wasn't a scam because again, I got him for free, but it's a rough deal where it's the hardest bit of training and learning, and there's
Yeah.
no unique case where this is how we ship every single
Right.
time.
It's an art. It's definitely an art to know how to ship live animals. And I think like well, if you fast forward to these day and age, like Amazon, I think Amazon has really I don't want the word like expectation for receiving stuff in the mail is really high. Like if I order something now, I want it tomorrow. I want you to process it tomorrow. But we ship Monday through Wednesday with 2 to 3 day mail so that they won't hang overnight on Sundays. So that's what we consider too. And yeah, and all that is from learning mistakes from the past where I used to ship every day, and then I'm like, oh crap, I have a beta sitting in the post office over Sunday. He packs only lasts 72 hours. So by the time it gets out on the post truck Monday, and it's 40 degrees outside, it's not going to be a happy fish going to the customer. So yeah, shipping live animals in the mail is definitely an art.
Do continue. Don't let me stop the forte just at shipping, but I wanted to cover that a little bit more.
So we went on shipping betas for a while, and then there's definitely a trial and error trying to figure out how to insulate the box and how to pack the beta, how much water do I add, because that definitely affects the shipping cost. The whole experience was kind of I did my research as best as I could, but it's almost trial and error out of college. But as soon as we figured it out, there's definitely a demand for betas, especially the ones I was bringing in. And breeding them in the garage was, I mean, I was living in my parents' house, so the cost was basically no cost. It's all my time. So I was going to school in the morning and then helping out my parents at a store. So I was working at a froyo shop. My parents bought a froyo shop, so I did that in the after
Hell
school
yeah.
and the evening. Yeah, so in the evening I would do the beta stuff. So that definitely took a lot of time. Like breeding fish in your garage for sale in that scale is definitely no joke. I got burnt out pretty quick. I think at one point I was shipping 100 betas a week, 100 to 200 betas a week on my own, and going to school and all that was definitely tough. And then I also had a wholesale customer, so learning how to import fish was pretty interesting too. Because I had a guy from Canada reached out to me, and he was like, "Hey, what do you do with all your cows?" And I called them because I don't have space for them. So I had a little Oscar that I feed my cows to. So he said, "Hey, because it's just there's too many, right?" So he said, "I'll take a cow." So I had to figure out how to import the my cows over. So every month he will buy about three to 500 cows from me, and but packaging them and getting and feeding all the fry and knowing how and to separate them out was definitely a challenge because betas. No, it's not like any other fish where you can leave them in the whole time, let them grow out. You have to separate them out after 2 months into their little grow up cups, and then after that, grade them and take photos of. Was fun at the beginning, and I enjoyed it, but I definitely burnt out. The money was okay, but I think for the money and what I had to do, it didn't quite make sense. So I think I stopped doing it after a couple of years. But it was definitely a learning experience of how to how to do things, how to maximize my time in a business. I think that's definitely what I learned. How do I, since in the business you're not getting paid hourly, so I want to understand how do I make time and get the biggest bang of biggest buck out of it. Because that starting that whole process, I was definitely not doing that. Putting a lot of hours in and not getting much to show for it.
So
And also learning how to ship them, learning how to deal with customers, learning how to deal with DOAs and death on arrival. That you're shipping a live fish in a box. It's going to happen. So and how to deal with that? How to deal with customer service? I think customer service is definitely you definitely have to have thick skin because in our business now 99% of customers are awesome, but once in a while you get a cranky customer. But like all business, right? But how do you deal with that and not make it personal? Because I think any new entrepreneur is very easy to get personal, but it's nothing personal. You're providing a service. And you just learn how to make it right. And learning how to have a thick skin to actually handle that. Definitely a learning process too.
So
Um,
it's fair to say that you're out of betas now, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure. I love betas, but it came to a point of the hobby where I felt like I had nothing much to learn. I wouldn't say I was no, I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I think it came to a point where I didn't feel fulfillment doing betas anymore. So I was looking for something within the aquarium hobby to learn and grow and explore.
You need a little
So-
challenge.
Little challenge.
A
And
little
not just challenge
yeah.
of your time either.
Exactly. Yeah.
One of the things, because let's be honest here, when people are like, oh, wouldn't it be great to sell fish? Yes, but, and people don't give it 2 seconds of thought. So just for a minute, since you're out of betas, I think it's safe to ask, could you
Yeah.
explain how margins worked, at least back then? Because now it's much different, especially with COVID now that it hit. But you breed most of them, all of them, or how did that work to start out with?
So I started off breeding all of them. I bred every single fish, but then I realized I was in Houston at the time, and the garage wasn't heated. It was insulated, but it wasn't heated. And betas, for them to do really well, they need to be 78 to 82 Fahrenheit for the fry to grow out. So the limitation I had with growing betas in my garage was, the time of year. So summer, I had to really put my breeding pairs in and crank it out, right? And then when winter came along, I tried breeding them in the winter, and they wouldn't grow because the metabolism wasn't fast enough. So at 2 months, my fish was like an inch and a half. So I had a few spawns that way. So I wasn't really maximizing the spawn and time I had per spawn. So yeah, I didn't go into actually buying wholesale and selling it at that time. But I did everything. I bred everything and sold them because before doing it, I thought it was a great idea. Right? So I'm like, oh, the only cost I have was food, which I was growing. I was growing Daphnia in my backyard, and I had all the food available. So when that was out of the picture, I was like, okay, I basically have no cost. But then what I failed to realize is that I was putting in a lot of time, and that was the highest cost, and my energy for sure.
Gotcha. Well,
yeah.
There's a few things I want to pick out of you, and I think you being a person to ask these things is number one, the overall cost of selling a fish, to know what your margin is and what you're making.
Yes. Yes.
Marketing, because again, you're an e-commerce guy, and people don't understand what it means to be competitive. Like, oh, I have a fish, they will come. That's not true by any measure. And to start with that price thing, I always try to compare things to the price of a cow.
Yeah.
When you hear a farmer, right, they talk in agricultural terms of, how much a feed you do, vaccinations, stable care, and they really put a overall dollar estimate on each head of cattle. Literally measuring out how much feed they give, even to the excess labor that it costs them to do milking, calving season, whatever it may be. So going in cow terms, right? You bred your own betas in this scenario. So far you can say, quote unquote, zero cost beside your time. And we'll let the time be the X, because you can easily spend a ton of time or a little time depending on how good you are. What would you estimate each one of your betas cost you, and then your sales price back in the day?
Right. Man, I think, I don't know. It's going to be tough to count because, I was living in my, I had to pay my parents rent. And
consider that overhead, overhead of the business.
Yeah, overhead of the business for sure. But I think at the time, if I would put a dollar amount of my, an hourly rate, or what I could have been doing at the time, I think my profit margin was so low. I don't think there's a number to put on it, but I guess it's opportunity cost, right? What could I have been doing?
Sure.
Let's say as a college student, I could be, working at, I don't know, getting an internship or something and making, I don't know, $20 an hour, 15 of, $17 an hour or somewhere. I would estimate my profit margin was like 20%, 20, 30%. So maybe not even 15, 20% at the time. So that's why, looking back now, it didn't make any sense, for me to continue doing it.
Yeah,
so it's a fun learning process. Yeah, but as a business model, it didn't make any sense.
And for those that are listening that are not business majors, which is most of our audience, mind you, business is done on a 40% margin for no cost to handle the object. So if you're selling a can of beans on a shelf, you didn't do anything to that bean. You bought the bean, you put it on the shelf, and then you checked it out at the register or shipped it online, right? There's nothing necessarily overhead for that object, and that's a bare 40% if you can do a little better, great. And that's just bare business, right? So you're saying you got 20 to 15% on livestock, which should be at an 80% or better margin to actually just make money, not to be massively successful, not to make sure you're getting that new Tesla investment. No, just to make sure that you're keeping the lights on, you're doing a business at least successfully.
Right. Exactly. So it didn't quite make sense.
Yeah, I mean, most of the pet stores that I sold to over the years and stuff, if I charged them $1, they would triple it. If I charged them $2, they would triple it. And still, everybody goes, "Oh, that's a lot of damn money." You know, they're making money hand over fist. No, they're not. If a fish dies, they make no money. You know,
Yes.
you have your costs that you can't control, such as electricity, rent. The only thing that you can control is your labor, basically. And
Right.
you know, Adam and I have had these conversations 100 times about different things about a pet store. Because Adam, how much were you paying for snow removal, Adam, just for out in your lot? It was a tremendous amount of stupid money.
Oh, it was snow removal and then water bills and everything else.
Garbage
it adds
pickup.
up.
Yeah, garbage
Definitely.
pickup.
Yep.
So,
And then the monthly tenant association fee and
yeah, so I mean, if you think that the pet store is ripping you off, they are just trying to eke out a living, and none of them are really making none of them are making a lot of money. So don't think for a second that anybody's getting rich off your dollar that you're spending at your local pet store. There's very few people who make a lot of money, and those people that make a lot of money will not tell you how they make a lot of money.
So, not to, again, we had to pause there to try to get some of the points as you were going across them. But to continue your story, you did betas, you got burnt out, although you had success. What was the was it just because you're burnt out? You need to find something that, number one, challenges you, or was it something different where it just the cost of doing shrimp was so much easier?
I think I wasn't ready. I think mentally to kind of put the pieces together. I think as a college kid trying to start a business, it got too much in the sense that there's definitely a lot more work than I thought it was for it to make sense. And there's also shipping fish is not really forgiving. There's definitely more challenges shipping fish compared to shrimp. So when shrimp came along, I think it was a different space. Fast forward, that was like almost 10 years later from college. So I went to the military.
Wait! You got to help me out. You don't look very old. How old are you?
I'm 30. Well, how old am I? I'm 33.
Oh my God! You can't be that old. You're older than me.
Yeah, I'm 33.
I got shoes older than both of you.
I need to be Asian because literally he looks like he's in his 20s. Like
I know.
I would guess in his early 20s. Yes, that's what.
It's all that shrimp body lifting,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that whey protein.
So after you left college, what did you get a degree in college, or did you go to college like me and just drink beer?
Right. So I was pursuing chemical engineering in Houston because everyone does. 99% of people in Houston does oil and gas. And then I took a break from college. I went back to Singapore to serve the military. And then I came back to. I went back to college in Beaumont, Texas, which is like an hour and a half east of Houston. And I completed my chemical engineering degree. And then found a job up here actually in Washington in a refinery. So that's kind of how we moved up here.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, I know it wasn't our country, but always thank you for your service.
Thanks.
When did you find your wife along the way?
Oh, we actually high school sweethearts.
Okay.
So we did long distance thing for a long time. I don't know how it worked out, but it worked out. So yeah.
One of these times, Jimmy's just waiting for someone to say, "I asked her to marry me with a tattooed fish." It's not going to happen, Jimmy.
Yeah.
You can calm down.
So how long have you been married now?
7 years.
7 years? Gotcha.
And so do you guys have any children?
On my head, but yeah, we're married. No children, just two of us.
Any shrimp on the way?
Lots of shrimp along the way.
Wonderful.
No human babies.
And so you said earlier that your wife is very helpful and supportive of your business, and that's always a big thing. And people just don't realize it. We have so many listeners that talk about how their significant others just don't get it.
Oh yeah, it's like we're always like, people are like, "What would you put in here?" I can't fit this, and this. I'm like, "Well, get another tank." And you're like, "I'm sorry, my wife won't let me." I'm like,
"Yeah, it's amazing.
You found your problem. There it is."
Rob's wife's very supportive. She comes down and pulls all the babies out of their central system. My wife last night went downstairs and pulled over 200 guppies out of our little pond and stuff. And it's so great to have people who are supportive in your family. And so I always like to bring it out when you've got a good supportive wife. I'd like to give them a shout out and say thank you
Yes.
for doing that and stuff. And,
Successful business recipe right there, boys.
yep. And so for the rest of you who don't support your spouse, bite me.
No, it definitely helps. I don't think I would be able to do this without her for sure. I don't think she'll imagine in a million years she'll be helping me pack shrimp.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably not on her list of priorities when she started dating you.
See,
No.
even
No,
your
no, for
ex-wife,
sure.
Jimmy, supports the podcast. I mean, look at this table we stole from her.
That's right. We have a table in our podcast that my ex-wife gave me just to get it out of her house.
And we drilled holes in it in honor of her memory.
Yeah,
You know?
And so anyway, I gave it to Rob's just to get out of my house.
No bad juju at your house.
No,
Gotcha.
So I was go way to honor her.
yeah, we drilled some holes in her head. No.
All right,
Yeah,
so
for some of us.
So talk to us about the shrimp business. How, number one, you said over 4 years ago. Now that we're caught up, how you got this far? You said over 4 years ago, you dove into shrimp. You found it challenging. You were talking. We rudely interrupted you, talking about the start of you and the shrimp hobby and how it came in the area. Do continue.
Yeah. So moved up. We moved up to Washington, and then I started watching videos on YouTube, and then shrimp in the States was starting to get traction. I mean, it wasn't a huge hobby, like other fishes like plecos and discus, and other types of fish that kind of was a big thing. But the hobby was kind of evolving at that point, and I kind of saw that trend of folks wanting smaller tanks and wanting to have a desktop fish tank versus like a 100 gallon tank in their home. So I decided to give it a shot. So I went on eBay. No, I take that back. I went to one of the larger suppliers. Bought some shrimp from. Didn't set up my tank correctly, and I put them in. I didn't acclimate them in, and they all didn't make it. So I was like, what the heck? And I thought I did all my research. I did everything I could to make it right, and they all died. So it was at that point I think I got bitten by the bug because I found something that was challenging and what I couldn't figure out at the time. So I bought another pack of shrimp, and made some mistakes, and they all died, and that kind of fueled the fire, I guess. And then once I got it right, it was pretty fulfilling, right? Because I bought some shrimp, and then now they're producing. Now they have a whole bunch of babies. I have a 10 gallon, started with 10 shrimp, and now there's 500 shrimp in the little 10 gallon tank. And then I thought, okay, now I have 500 shrimp in my tank, and I was at work. And work was okay. I mean, work paid great, and the folks there were cool. But I always have felt that there was something missing. Yeah, I just didn't feel complete at work. I don't know if that made any sense. So I was looking for something, but I didn't know what it was. And my wife was like, "Hey, why don't you try selling the shrimp on eBay and online and see how that works? You sell shrimp, you sell stuff online before you can figure it out." Oh yeah, I think I can figure it out. So one day I was looking at the tank. I'm like, hey, let's just give it a shot, see how it goes, right? So now we have YouTube, so that's it helps so much because you can learn so much quicker than 10 years ago. So learn how to pack shrimp in basically a day. And I found a few suppliers and got all the stuff I needed. And eBay is pretty easy. There's people selling shrimp on eBay. Perfect. Let's just list it on eBay and take some nice pictures. Now we have cell phones. Back in the day, I had to use my camera and chase the fish around. Now I have the cell phone pictures are really easy. Then put a macro lens on there. Nice. You have nice stock pictures to go on. So I put on eBay, and I think we sold out in like 2 weeks. I sold like 500 cherries in like 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, I think there's something there. So then I started dabbling with other shrimp. I brought in blue boats, I brought in crystals, and then started breeding them. And then I did the same thing. And the cool thing with shrimp versus fish is that you can put a lot of shrimp in on the business side and the hobby as well. You can put a lot of shrimp in the tank, right? So you don't need that much space to stock up a whole bunch of inventory. So that was really, really exciting too for me. So we managed to get the crystal tank going, the blue boats going. They didn't sell as fast as the crystal, the cherries. But because of the the stages of the hobby, right? Most people are getting to the easier shrimp.
You cut out during that part.
yeah.
Why didn't they sell as well?
Because they're more advanced shrimp. So most people getting the hobby, the beginners, they're getting into cherry shrimp and the Neocaridina shrimp. There's definitely more demand now, but back like 4 or 5 years ago, there's less. I think overall now you're gonna find less demand than the Neocaridina shrimp, but they were still selling. So yeah, I kind of started from there. I started selling on eBay, of all places, and then we decided to scale it up a little bit because I realized I couldn't breed them quick. So we found a good importer from Taiwan, and we started working with them, and we brought in a little. I didn't want to risk a whole bunch of money on an import and kind of not work out. So we found an importer that's willing, because I think most people don't know, but most importers, the minimum order quantity is like 10 boxes of of shrimp or fish or anything.
Yeah, some of them won't even tell you boxes. They'll just tell you, 15 grand. That's your minimum order. And
exactly,
I can't tell you how many people have contacted me saying, "Hey, you want a wholesale shrimp?" I'm like, "Well, I'll just give me your list." They're like, "Oh, well, we have a minimum." I'm like, "Well, over there with you."
Right. Yeah. So we managed to find a good wholesaler that's managed to work with us. So we brought in 2 boxes. And learning how to import them in was funny. My wife and I drove down to the airport, and we thought we had our documents in, right? So we were there at the customs office, and the customs officer was like, "You need this, and we're like, "Oh my god, we're freaking out!" The cargo area of the airport closes at 5 p.m. We're there struggling at 4 p.m. We're like, we're gonna lose the shrimp. The shrimp is gonna stay there overnight. But we're fortunate enough that there's this one officer who gave us a free pass to collect them. But that was a good learning experience because we almost lost our first import. But then we got a customs broker to help us for the next few ones.
Yeah,
that's definitely a lot easier.
That's some of the people that don't like having fun with you. You can't tell them that you're hiding cocaine in your anus. You can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that didn't work out very well.
Maybe that's our problem, Jimmy. I once told the Schmelta Airlines clerk that, she looked explosive today.
I hate the airlines.
I tried to be nice to her, but, then she saw you and it was all over.
The airlines hate me so much. I walk in.
Why is that?
I yell a lot because, well, I mean, you have to realize that we live in Mayberry. We really do. I go to the airport. Our airport has 3 gates. They have 14 flights a day. They ain't that damn busy. And I get there, and they go, "I'm here to pick up my fish." They know who I am. I've been doing it for 30 years. We're going on break. Well, I'm right here. Yeah, we'll be back from break in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me reach over and strangle you while you're on break, and urinate on the floor. I mean, they drive me insane. And just...
Yeah.
I just want to blow the damn place up. Let's put it that way.
You've literally heard them say, I'm gonna make him wait on purpose.
Yeah, they have said that to me just to be jerks, and they've called security on me because I've yelled at them and stuff.
You brought me in as backup.
Yeah, I'm very popular at the airport, and I think it's profiling personally.
See, that's why we're glad we don't look like Adam.
Yeah,
otherwise, then we'd definitely be hauled out on a hearse.
That's right. So anyway, I'm just a fat little short white guy who comes in with that attitude, and all I want is my damn fish. I'm here. I've gotten there. I'm not kidding you. I've gotten there. I won't even. It's an hour and 10 minutes to the airport from my house. I won't even leave until I know they're sitting there because I can't. Because they come in when we bring them in. They come in from either Florida or California into Minneapolis, and Minneapolis into our little place in Fargo, and it's a 45-minute flight from Fargo or from Minneapolis to Fargo. And so I'll look on the Schmelta Airlines website, and it'll say in transit. And I thought, well, if I take off and to get there 20 minutes before I get there, I'll be in and out and stuff.
The company rhymes with Schmelta, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not the other one. It rhymes with Schmelta.
Yeah. Schmelta. Gotcha. Yeah. Got it.
And them rat bastards, I'll get there and they'll go, oh, yeah, it missed a flight. Well, it says it's here. Well, it's not. It'll be in on the 11 o'clock flight. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. Am I going to drive home? Am I going to go to the strip club and eat? Because they do have they do have a
I'd go to
buffet.
the strip club and eat.
I have done that. I will admit I've done that. And you know what? I should have just got a hotel room and just took a nap because it would have been cheaper than sitting at the strip club at the buffet.
You gotta
with dollar bills.
You gotta take me to the buffet.
No, you don't want to eat there. There's always hair in the food.
Oh. That's nasty.
But I mean, people go, "Oh, I want to import fish. I want to own my own pet store." You know, if you've got nothing but time to throw out the window and stand at the airport, it drives me insane. And but after during COVID, about a year went by, and I was unable to use Schmelta Airlines, and I had to use UPS.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they are just Schmelta Airlines on steroids, who like to charge you more. You know, rather than charge me $75, we're going to charge you $150 for half the stuff,
Jimmy.
And yeah, it's guaranteed overnight. But if it doesn't get there overnight, well, we ain't refunding your damn money.
What could Brown do for you?
Well, Brown, yeah. I tell you what, I
burn your green. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. And so you get me in my high horse because I've been importing for years. I had a $1,800 order come in of tropical fish, and it got into Minneapolis at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This is quite a few years ago. And there were 6 or 4 more flights coming into Fargo. And I called them and said, you know, it's 20 below. When are you going to get them here? And you know what they did? The bastards put them outside, froze them solid, and then sent them. $1,800 frozen solid with heat packs, frozen solid. And it took me over 6 months to get my money out of Schmelta Airlines. And that was the beginning of our hate relationship.
So, just to give people pictures, there's 6 heat packs in an Alaska box. To get that on 20 below, you have to put them out directly in open air where there's a 35-mile-an-hour wind blowing against the box.
The heat packs were so hot at one time it melted the styrofoam damn near. I mean, it just drives me insane.
Oh man,
and so,
I totally empathize with that.
Yeah,
I think it's universal for all airlines.
You know, and I've imported. I've brought in from locals and stuff, and I tell you, if I can get from somebody who actually cares, like yourself, you know, and I call you and go, you know, my shrimp didn't arrive, and you'll go, well, let me check into it, and you get back to them. I can't tell you how many people I'll call and say, well, my fish haven't shown up. Well, what do you want me to do about it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You know, you sent them, so yeah, it's just frustrating.
All right, sorry about that rant.
I'll get off my bandwagon.
Jimmy gets like these Vietnam flashbacks.
God, I wasn't in Nam, but I felt like it.
Schmelta flashbacks.
Schmelta flashbacks.
Sorry, your Zoloft is coming, and also our new merch line will have our merch update will have FU Schmelta as a T-shirt.
I hate Schmelta Airlines.
All right, so now that we got over that over elongated shipping conversation, do continue.
Well, okay, where was I? Okay, so
all your paperwork.
All the paperwork, yeah. So we almost lost our first import. But yeah, we had definitely struggles with we swapped airlines just because, you know, Ivory and import. This is during COVID, by the way, so there's no one there at the office besides me.
What?
And like
that's because they're on break,
right? But no, I gave my paperwork to the clerk, right, and she went out there and called the folks to bring the boxes over to the front for half an hour. I'm like, I'm the only guy here. And I went out there and they were thinking smoke breaks at the back. I'm like, there's no one working on the floor. And I just want to bring my boxes front so I can get the hell out of there, right? And I waited for, I swear, an hour and a half for them to bring the boxes over. I was the only one there.
Yeah, that happens
so
to me.
I can tell.
That happens to me all the time. And the thing is
you're attractive. Jimmy's not. Look at him. Two to the air, boys.
Different folks. You know?
I'll sit in my car, and I'll call in, and they'll have a cordless phone on their hip, and they'll answer as I'm looking at them, and they'll say, "Yeah, we're really busy right now unloading a flight. It'll be about half an hour." I can see you. You're right there smoking a cigarette. You're not unloading a damn airplane, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why people get ran over. I mean, I truly get it. You're sitting there going, I could pin them all 4 against the wall with my little freaking minivan, you know. So I totally get it. So I mean, if you want to have a great business plan where you lose your freaking mind, start importing fish.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So you found a reputable vendor. You figured
Yeah.
out that you have to bring a ton of paperwork, and that you shouldn't wear a Shrimpy Business T-shirt when you go to the airport.
Yes.
Right.
I'm going to get a shirt from like
yeah.
Adam Sandler says, "Guns don't kill people, I kill people." Remember that guy from Adam Sandler's Happy Gilmore?
As long as it has an airplane in the background, I'm okay with this. So now you've established a good vendor.
Yeah.
It's clearly
So-
working out for you now,
so-
even still, right?
Yeah. So we have a good relationship. we've definitely we're lucky to find one. Finding a good vendor that's willing to work with you, and grow and learn and willing to give us a shot for someone who had no experience whatsoever, was definitely definitely a blessing for sure. So yeah, we had the same vendor now. So we brought our first import, just literally 2 boxes of cherry shrimp, just to see how it goes, right? Because in my mind, I didn't want to take the risk and blow, tens and thousands of dollars on my first import and then have them all die on me, and then, that's definitely not the way to go. So we brought our first 2 boxes, and in my mind going in was, okay, if we through this learning process, if we break even, it's a success. So that's kind of my learning, kind of a course of importing shrimp and quarantining them and treating them. So I was willing to let that money, break even on that import, even if it loses a little bit, it's still a success, as long as we learn from it. So brought them in and then quarantining them, because imports have a really bad rap. So we make for shrimp. So we quarantine them for a long time to make sure they're stable. So we quarantine them for a long, and then after they're quarantined stable, we then start shipping them out. So we don't want to be one of those guys that bring them in and start flipping shrimp. That's not how I wanted to build a business on.
Right. You want a
Um,
successful product.
Exactly. So I want to make sure that they're as healthy as possible, and kind of put the customer's lens on myself. I mean, look through the customer's lens as far as the customer service and all that too, and how they receive the package. We learned so I got the insulated panel supplier locally. We're lucky to have one here, and we still work with him to this day. And then, actually before that, we actually cut panels ourselves. So my wife and I would buy these huge panels from Depot, like the 8 foot by
4 foot.
forgot, like 4 foot, yeah. And we cut them in the living room. We measured, so we have a template up. My wife would draw the lines. I would go and cut it. So that's kind of how we started cutting styrofoam panels. Messy as heck. I'm so glad we don't do that anymore. Styrofoam was all over the place, up in my nose. It was horrible.
In your
Now
wife,
it's just cocaine.
yeah, in your wife's hair,
Yeah, in my wife's hair,
In the carpet.
all over the place. And yeah,
hanging on the wall.
exactly. So we did that for a while, and then we sold that little import, and customers were happy, and we started building a reputation on eBay. And then we brought in another one, did the same thing, learned from it, learned how to treat them differently, as far as the quarantine process to make sure they're as healthy as possible going out. And so we started from there. So we started with a few tanks, and then we grew to more tanks and scaled up from there. So starting this business, I didn't want to take from a firm believer at this day and age. To start an online business, you don't need a loan.
You know,
You need some money. Yeah, you need some money. I'm not saying you don't need any money. I was fortunate enough to have a good paying job to fund that business, but I was a firm believer taking a loan. So starting small and managing risk is definitely key, and taking small steps at a time. Don't go big and go home. We took small little steps at a time. Reinvest in the business and keep reinvesting and kept reinvesting and learning. And that's, I think that patience was definitely key. But then it came to a point where eBay just wasn't cooperating anymore, because I knew eBay wasn't sustainable, just because they can change the algorithm anytime and then rank someone above you, and you can't do anything about it. There's definitely tricks and here and there where you can go around, and kind of give your ranking a little boost to put you on the front page. But then sales started dwindling, and then I was kind of panicking a little bit, because I was like, oh my god, this is it's not going to work. It's not working out. Sales are not coming in. Then I realized our ranking dropped. We're not on the front page anymore, because eBay will usually give new sellers a shot. They put them on the front page. And then when you're on for a while, they give new sellers a chance, right? And they kind of go on that rotation with however their algorithm works. So I knew at that point I needed to understand how to run an e-commerce business the right way. Yeah, there are folks on other apps, selling groups, because Facebook, when Facebook used to be the place to buy shrimp and buy fish, right? But after Facebook cracked down on the live animal sales, they moved on to other apps to do that. And I definitely support those folks, because those folks are hobbyists selling to other hobbyists, which is awesome. But I didn't think that was a sustainable business model. Yeah, learning from my past experience, I definitely want to maximize my. So how do I maximize my time and put my business in front of people, provide them with better the service that they're looking for, so that they keep coming back for that service, right?
Repeat
Because
customers.
at the end of the day, repeat customers, yeah, that's the main thing. So if you give them a good first experience, put them in. It's a numbers game. Put your business in front of as many people as possible, and then the conversion rate is typically around 2.5%. 2%, 2 to 3%, roughly. So it's a numbers game. So I learned how to run my ads. I learned how to build ads. I learned how to the avenue to run my ads. And then I took courses for that. So I paid money for courses, and then I took courses on how to design a website, how to maximize your conversion on the website, how to build email lists. So it's definitely a lot of things I learned in a short period of time when I was working. But those courses definitely help. And then after starting my ads and making tweaks on them, and then we didn't put a lot of money in those ads at first, but I knew once we could get them working, we could use that to scale. And then from there, learning how to get free traffic. Free traffic is like organic traffic, how to rank on. So that was the next step for us, how to learn how to rank organically. So I think it was definitely a different lens to look from. It was more how do I run an e-commerce business versus how do I list stuff on eBay and sell it?
Well, just to give a picture, right?
Yeah.
I can't, there's certain questions you don't ask a person. Like you don't ask a lady how old she is, right? That's impolite. So to risk not asking
his weight,
right? You don't want to know. You can't count that high.
Yeah.
So to not ask those questions, but instead, how many total shrimp do you think you sell in a month right now? Come on, guess. Ballpark it. Impress us. This is where you get to flex. Come on, just put it up there. Ooh.
I don't know. Okay, so packages wise, right? So packages, I think we're pushing out around 200 ish a week.
And that's not including dry goods sales, all the other stuff. So definitely a sustainable business.
Well, packages that's in boxes. So I guess if you think about packs of shrimp, our average is around 2 bags of shrimp, which is around 5 to 10 shrimp a packet in each box. So that's what we're doing now.
So what? 25 shrimp a box? Is that where I'm getting the math at? My brain hurts.
Around like I would say 20 shrimp a box. Roughly.
So we'll say 20 shrimp a box, 200 boxes. Math.
4,000.
It's a lot. You're literally pumping shrimp. So out of that pie, how many of those do you farm yourself? Because I'm assuming the high end ones that you have to farm yourself, Silawasi, stuff like that.
Yeah. So the high end ones, I breed myself. So the Caridinas, Caridinas besides the crystals, I breed myself. Just because I could, have the tank space and breed them to supply the demand.
So is it fair to say 40 to 30% you breed yourself?
Yeah, around there.
That's incredibly a large number.
And you're talking, that's the story about that first time you imported. You got a couple of boxes of red cherry shrimp and you're hoping to break even. Did you break even?
Yeah, we broke even.
Broke even.
Yeah,
now,
we broke.
Do you use a transshipper or do you have an import license?
I have an import license.
An import license.
So I drive to the airport myself every few months to bring it
in. And for the listeners and stuff, can you explain how you get your import license? I mean, it's not all that easy.
I think getting the license, you kind of just go on Washington Department of Fish. Oh, okay, so yeah, they don't really spell it out for you. I think now looking back, there's definitely a lot of try and error to try to figure it out, because you can't go online and type, okay, how do I import livestock seeds, right? So we got our first. There's 2 agencies that works with the import. So that's first the customs. So we had to get a import license from them, and then we get a import license from the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, because they would clear the shipment. They would check the shipment as they come in to make sure you don't bring anything illegal or illicit and that. So the customs folks is the folks that clear the package, of course. And like I said, the Fish and Wildlife, and looking from the lens of whether you're bringing anything. but we tried doing the shipment ourselves the first time without going through. There's definitely a lot more paperwork to do than I thought, and that's one of the reasons why we almost missed our first shipment. So we actually now pay a customs broker. They're not cheap.
No.
Uh, most people think, oh, it's just paperwork. I was so surprised at how much they were charging. I was like, you charge what? What? But I kind of had almost no choice really. The way it's all set up, because they do everything for us. They clear everything. They do all the paperwork. I mean, they're really good folks to work with. But definitely more than what I thought.
I mean, you can easily probably spend $200 on all the BS.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally use a trans-shipper, and they do all the paperwork for me and stuff. But I do have a friend down in Minneapolis who did the very thing you're doing with the import license himself and stuff, trying to save a few bucks and get your fish even cheaper. But what he found out is that, like in Minneapolis, there's only one or two guys that do it. And if they got the day off or they've already gone home, then your stuff sits there. And he called me the first time he did it. He goes, yeah, I got here at 6:30. The guy went home at 6. And they said I have to wait till tomorrow to get my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people don't realize that. So, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. You can get your own import license, or else you can use a trans-shipper and stuff.
Right.
But with a trans-shipper, of course, you're going to pay a little bit extra money, and you won't have that one-on-one conversation with your shipper. So, like, when I use a trans-shipper, I've got 10, 12 countries I can pick from China, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore. I can't really ask my salesperson a question about this particular shrimp, because then she has to send an email. It might take 2 days to come back. They're in a different time zone, of course, than we are and stuff. And
that's a sscenario of like a full-on distributor model that does that.
It's just very frustrating. And so you got to pick, for your peace of mind, you have to pick out, the lesser of two evils for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And to then ship in, you need an international airport. So if you are in a rural area where you don't have an international airport, you've just now multiplied the amount of effort it's going to take to get the stuff in incredibly.
Yeah.
So unless you're in a huge city with an international airport and you have time to go hang out at the airport, having your importer's license isn't that easy. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think the big thing that I want to beat up with you before you leave is your e-commerce transition. So you started on eBay, right? What before we get your history, what you did, what platforms are you currently on now? Is it just your website, shrimpybusiness.com, or do you still do eBay, maybe the Aquabid, other things like that?
No, it's just mostly. I mean, I have eBay on just because I did all the work to set up all the listings, so it's on there. But we mostly do my website. 90% of the business is from the website.
So how do you drive customers to your website? Because everybody thinks, if I get a good quality shrimp, if I make sure they're a good margin, I list them online, I build my own website, that they'll come. That's very much not the case.
It's not definitely not the case. I think understanding how to, so Google Ads is king and Facebook ads. So that's definitely a restriction for live animals, because Google has different types of ads, right? So you have Google Shopping ads. When you type a product, you can, the shopping tab, click on it, you can go in and shop for different folks of, different products from different sellers. You can't do that with live animals because they have a restriction on Google Shopping for live animals. So the only avenue you have left is your search, your search. So, you type in cherry shrimp, and then, your ad pops up on the first, on the ad, the sponsored ad, the first thing you see. That's search ad. And that's kind of what I had to learn, how to optimize that to get the right audience and not pay too much for it, because it's really easy to overpay for ads. People pay thousands of dollars for ads and not get anything out of it. So I think understanding that and scaling slowly, I think that was key. I didn't throw a bunch of money into ads, spent a little bit. Okay, it works. Okay, let's make this little tweak, this investment. Okay, we have more folks coming in, and then you analyze the demographic, you analyze who's coming to your website, and then, well, first you ask yourself, who is your target audience? And then
wait, is your target audience, fat bearded fish nerds? Is that, I don't know how to select that in the Google search.
Basically, no, I'm just kidding. No, by age group, and also by genre. You can actually use like you can. It's kind of crazy if you dig deep how much you can actually filter your audience for Google to actually choose the audience for you. So you can age, gender, income. You can select all that stuff. Also, you can select the genre that people search for, to attract, to put your business in front of audiences that want your stuff and who are searching for your stuff. And then next thing is putting the right keywords. And we're lucky because we're not a very competitive niche. So our cost per click, as in if you click on the ad, you get paid. You get charged for each click. We're not that expensive because our niche is not that competitive. So we're lucky. But yeah, I'm trying to make sure that our ads are most optimized as possible. And then on Facebook, I kind of created a little video of all our shrimp, just to because Facebook folks want videos. They get checked out by the video. So if they see a bunch of shrimp, nice shrimp in a tank and large for them, it's kind of my approach in putting our business in front of people for that.
So
looking for our product.
is that your
Yeah.
secret sauce, or what? What besides trying to come to a podcast and get the word out is the best advertisement solution?
Well, that is how we started. But then the next key is, okay, you got folks coming to your website. How do you get their trust that you are a trusted seller? Because I'm not one of the big names. We're not. There's so many big players out there, and I don't want to be. That's not my goal. I enjoy what I'm doing at this scale. I don't want to scale. That's the other part, I guess, is getting the reviews. So right now on our website we have about 1,000 reviews, and our customers are super. They post pictures and everything. And I think the cool thing about it is because of our brand. How I want to create a happy-go-lucky brand, and I think that branding kind of attracts the folks that we're looking for. Folks who are looking to learning. So customer reviews, branding, and then your website experience. Make sure it's flawless. There's no bugs. Super easy to navigate. Super easy to find. Because websites can get, if you have a lot of products, can be very messy. And when I created this website, I wanted to be as simplistic as possible. So it's different aspects, I guess.
So just going on a little background of trying to do branding, marketing, and other things. For those that are listening and thinking, or even having your own business, repetition is key. If you're trying to get it out there, you need to not, as you said, blow up your budget, but you need to do it on a consistent basis. You can't just expect one and done is going to do the solution. Also, how you're doing it. You're not just selling shrimp, you're selling an experience. If you're trying to sell a vacuum cleaner, what are you trying to show, Jimmy? You're trying to show the hassle of dealing with what you have and why mine's better. So with shrimp, you're really trying to show, wow, mine, the beauty, the color, the simplicity. I make it easy. It comes to your door. You're selling the experience and joy of having the shrimp.
Exactly,
Or you're having something that at least makes them laugh in the commercial, which is why we pick on Joe so often in our different advertisements. We always, pick on his 6-inch Cholo wood and make it to worthwhile because they're going to remember either, quality content or the experience that you're trying to offer. So you said Google Ads. What was your beginning spend that you saw success with? Because that's always like a mystical number, and yours is very much in the niche of our audience. When they're trying to think of, what am I going to put out for a dollar amount? What's a reasonable amount that I'm going to see enough success with that I'm not burning my wallet?
Like how much ad spend?
Yeah. So what was your starting ad spend that you saw success with that you weren't blowing your budget with?
I mean, we started off really low, really like I started off like $100 a month just to try it out. And then
is that where you saw like good success? Is $100?
No, like, I found some success. But then I started with $100. We converted some sales, right?
Sure.
And then with ads, you're always looking for return on ad spend, right? Your ROAS. What is your return on ad spend? For me, my return on ad spend, I want it to be at least 7 to 8 right now. So meaning if you spend $1, I'm going to get 7 to 8 back. For me, that's really good ad spend. That's definitely, it kind of fluctuates. There's no benchmark of what good return on ad spend is. Some industries you have 100 times return on ad spend. Some industries you have 2. But right now that's kind of what, if I can do better, great. But we spent $100. We made some sales, and then our return on ad spend was around I think 3 to 4. So each dollar I spent, I made about $3 to $4. But then we saw real success. Well, not real success. Of some, I guess success in my mind is like in a business that we can make a living out of. We saw it around the $500 a month spend.
So the measurements are not just like you try to do it adequate in dollars. The measurements that you have is called like KPI is literally you can go by like a promo code on how people got it back. You can go by clicks. And then you can also go by like awareness, and awareness shows by like certain views, demographics, social response, and it's very hard to measure. But as long as you're getting measurement, that's how you equate your dollar amount based upon different sales and fluctuations, and trying to make it unique. Like We even picked on Joe recently, saying that he, use promo code bathwater and we'll send shrimp bathwater in our package. Which, by the way, you assholes listening, I want to put it out there that you guys demanded that he had a line item on his website. You can go there now, and he's actually selling shrimp bathwater and actually making a couple sales at it. So I don't know what's wrong with you people, but I call that a successful ad campaign.
That's funny.
When you create social media conversations, there's a little bit of spend wheelay right there.
Well, we've talking so much crap about his 6-inch cholla wood. That's the number one Google search. You pull up cholla wood.
It's not even spelt correctly.
Yeah.
He calls it cholo wood. It was chola wood.
Yeah.
He has the exclusive to
cholla wood. And we had Joe here in the studio with us last week, and when I left, I sat out and visited with him a little bit out in the parking lot here. And the one thing I was going to ask him, and I completely forgot, is I want 12-inch cholla. I want him to get 12-inch cholla wood, and I want him to sell it.
That's it. Nick's going to have to put up or shut up. He's going to have to get the full 12-inch cholla wood in.
I'll need to.
Hey. If you guys want to get a giggle, go to the website, shrimpybusiness.com. And on the top of his thing, he'll have food and botanicals and all the other accessories, right? He's got teddy bear cholla wood.
What's that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the big... Okay, if 6-inch cholla wood was a flaccid penis reference, this would be the thick chode. You know what I mean?
This it's a 4-incher though, so
around.
That's a chode. That's what we call 4 inches around and long.
Around.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
That's a good start.
So you gotta corner your market somehow, and I think we just found Nick's.
So Nick's is bigger around than it is long. Is that what you're saying?
It's like the cheese wheel cholla wood.
It's all about girth.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, you certainly helped me out in the e-commerce footing. At least get a grasp on some stuff. Ours is a little bit more unique, Jimmy.
Our cholla wood is much smaller.
No. Our social media marketing, since we're
girth and size wise, yeah.
Since we're an advertised department, and we supposedly are supposed to sell ad space. Jimmy, you're supposed to get on that, by the way. Ours has been very much share this with your friends, marketing exclusive. But again, our measurements are listens, not sales. So. I think that you've expired us that, when we break even on this, we need to spend another $100.
Another $100 on it?
Yeah.
Get started on that Google ad space. I don't know. I think we might not be selling live creatures, but I think Google will flag us for inappropriate behavior. So,
and then we'll have made our goal basically, because it's good. Bad publicity is just as good as any good publicity.
Right.
So,
yeah. And you guys can get on setting up the 6-inch, 8 and 12-inch trio wood. Got to get in on that.
Hell yeah.
Expandable.
Expandable. For your pleasure, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, Nick, I think the last questions that we have are, for e-commerce, especially because that's so crucial for business, is your vision on how COVID's treated you. Again, you started this business not too long ago. COVID certainly impacted everybody, but yet you're still successful. How did you have to be flexible, and what do you see as a change that we all need to adapt to?
So when COVID hit, I think we got hit because we bring in shrimp from Taiwan, right? And when COVID hit, we definitely saw the limitation there because they weren't able to bring in ship on certain days, and we bring in some other goods from overseas too, and they weren't able to bring them in. So I think it's definitely open our eyes to see for that limitation. But I think as COVID passes, that we're getting more, suppliers are getting more flexible in terms of finding solutions for that. So there's a lot of, for dry good wise, outside the pet space, for example, they have warehouses now that locally where folks can fulfill orders versus just drop shipping them from China. But I think in the pet space, I think COVID has caused a lot more folks to purchase online, and that's also live animals. So I think an online business, if someone were to start an online business now, is definitely, I would say, slightly easier than it was before, because there's so many people shopping online now, and more people are getting okay with buying live animals in a box shipped to their door.
You're saying that it's a lot better market.
Yeah.
It seems shocking, but when we talk to all of our friends, wholesalers and everything else, they say that if they never would have held back during COVID, it would have been absolutely astounding because they broke records this year.
Yes.
Even
Yeah.
the extradiential, like our podcast, once COVID, the shock and scare, and people went back to work. Our podcast spiked. Everybody finally got back to work. Even Amazonas Magazine have broke records selling copies. So it's just
Yeah.
a lot more time at home.
It's crazy, and like we sell plants too, right? And the plants is definitely not our main thing. There's definitely other suppliers that do only plants, but we have plants for nano tanks, and we get them locally from local farms, and the local farms can't put enough out to supply the demand. That's how crazy I think COVID has impacted the market. I think folks are at home, and they have more time to play around with their fish tanks or shrimp. So it's been crazy. So I don't think COVID has impacted adversely. It probably maybe in the beginning, where logistically, from goods from China or overseas might be limited just because of the flights. But now when the flights are back, I don't see COVID impacting it negatively, unless we go back to that space where the airline starts limiting flights again.
I had a conversation the other day that I want to share with you guys. All Glass Aquarium, of course, which is a big part of our industry, is telling their customers that do not expect to get any tanks bigger than 40 gallons for another 6 months, because they shut down their plant for a number of months, and now they're just doing the bread and butter 5, 10, 20s, 29s. And my friends that own a pet store in West Fargo, they've got an unbelievable amount of people who want the large tanks, 75 gallons, 100-gallon tanks, and they're on a waiting list, and they're saying it's going to be 6 more months. Now we're doing this the 1st of February, and they're saying it's going to be late summer before we can get large tanks. So if you're out there and you're thinking about doing some additional tank buying and stuff, you may be forced to start buying some used tanks, which is going to drive the used tank market up a little bit, I got a feel, and stuff. So if you see a great deal out there on a large tank, go ahead and pick it up and put it in your garage, even if you don't need it. I personally just took about 5 or 6 tanks that I'm not using that are all pretty good size, and I took them over to my friends that own the pet store. They sold them the next day.
All of them.
Yeah. And they just do it as a favor for me. I got rid of these tanks that were just collecting dust in my basement, and now they're in somebody's fish room being used, and I got pretty good change for it. I mean, considering that they're used tanks that weren't, they're clean, but they're not spotless, right. And stuff. So if you're going to get into breeding shrimp and stuff, you're going to be in good shape because you can use the smaller tanks. But if you're going to start doing Malawi cichlids and different things like that, and big, large goldfish, you're going to need some bigger tanks. Good luck to you.
Right.
Well, Nick, there's other things that we didn't talk about. I wanted to briefly go over, which is, again, your food line, which I think is very interesting. I would like to at least finish up with that, but anything else that you think we missed today?
No, I think I guess to cover the customer service aspect of the business. So customer service wise, I do everything for service side. So
wait, can I pretend to be a Rajesh on the line? Shippy business, how may I help you?
Yeah.
So we don't I don't outsource it just because it's a very niche hobby to outsource. So but at the same time I definitely want to provide the right information for the festival. So customer service, I know other big companies has a big team, but customer service side it's just me. And you don't need to buy anything from us. You can reach out on shippybusiness.com, and then I'll get to the question or concern as soon as I can. But it's all me whenever you reach out on the website.
That's what I love about small business is I don't have to go through multiple people to find out if you've got this in hand, if this looks good, if this looks bad. When I do business with certain people, they'll steer me away from things that just came in saying, you know what, we want to sit on them for a few weeks just to make sure they're okay.
Just like he told me no to Silawasi when I started messaging him and pretend to be a random person online. Like, no, you're in Minnesota. It's a bad idea always. You should never do that. I don't want your money.
So that's what I like about small business is that I'm going to call you. You're going to have, I'll be able to get all my questions answered with one quick phone call or an email, and I won't have to wait around. So I love small business. Please support all of our small businesses out there.
Wait, is this where we put out Nick's personal cell number right now?
And a social security number. And a Visa number, too.
I can't remember my phone number for some reason.
Don't tell it out loud. That was a joke. It was a joke.
So what's the name of your business and your website? Give us that.
Yeah, so it's Shrimpy Business, shrimpybusiness.com.
You cut out shrimpybusiness.com. Certainly check it out. Yep. Free shipping over $100 using promo code FREESHIP. And if you guys want to nerd out, we didn't talk a ton about shrimp. We went a little bit about it. Again, this is more to cover the business aspect because there's a lot of loopholes, and people ask us all the time on different business questions. And Nick, you really did nail some of them home, especially like, e-commerce, really gave people a platform. And again, you're using Shopify. There's a lot of different platforms that are easy to use. Wix does a lot, Squarespace, and they're all, as far as I've seen with other people using them, very much animal friendly when you're doing it correctly online. They accept different payments. So that's not a huge deal. It's more of how to get your name out there. And I think you really did hit the nail on the head with a group of the questions. So certainly thanks for that. But go to Bentley Pasco's YouTube channel, and you can check out this interview that you guys did. You did 2 videos. I think it was over 2 hours of content.
Yeah,
and you guys got real nerdy, man.
We got super nerdy. We got indeed.
You got deep in there. So
yeah, we've had Bentley on this program several times and stuff, and what a great guy. What a great guy, knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Also into Magic the Gathering, which is why I love him the most.
You are so super nerdy.
So again, certainly check that out, guys. We'll have links in the description. Nick, thanks so much for coming on. You got anything else for us, buddy?
No, I think that's it. Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure meeting you guys.
Well, thank you so much. Adam, you got any questions?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
You're good.
Thanks for coming on.
Hey, Adam. Nice t-shirt.
Yeah. Thanks. My kids are excited that we have merch. They didn't realize that we have merch.
Literally, before we started the podcast, because we're on twitch.tv/aquarium, guys, if you want to watch us live on Mondays at 7 o'clock Central. Adam's like, I need to go put on clothes. He comes out.
We're a little confused.
Like, oh, the merch line. That's right. Okay, thank God. We were just expecting a lot of like Pog faces and Milk Dud references in the chat. So thank you, Adam, for wearing clothes.
Oh, okay.
So Adam is wearing our Aquarium Guy certified shirt tonight.
Right.
Is that correct?
If you like the content of the podcast, go to our website, buy a t-shirt, look like Adam.
Nobody looks good as Adam.
Be fly like a half-white guy.
Or, as I like to call him, Malibu Ken.
Right. Well, until next week, and Nick, stop by again.
Sure, man. Thanks so much for having me again.
Thanks, guys, for listening to the podcast. Please go to your favorite place where podcasts are found, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever they can be found. Like, subscribe, and make sure you get push notifications directly to your phone so you don't miss great content like this.
Schmelt. Don't even get me started on this.